Welcome back to Talks with Tal, the podcast with real conversations that break down how different businesses actually run. Welcome back to Talks with Tal, the podcast where we have real conversations about what building a business actually looks like, not the highlighted reel version, the actual version. I'm your host, Tal Kapoor, and if this is the first time that you're finding me, let me give you a little context about who I am and why this conversation matters to me personally. I'm a fitness trainer and gym owner in Los Angeles. I've spent the better part of my adult life building businesses that required me to show up every day, every single day, in order to generate income. An interior design business for many years, a CrossFit gym that a pandemic shut down just the first year after my ownership, and I built an outdoor gym as a pivot from scratch, and that's still running today. Every single one of those businesses had the same problem. The moment that I stopped showing up, the money also stopped showing up. A few years ago, I discovered a product and a business model that introduced me to something I had never experienced before in all of my years of building: leverage, which means income that didn't stop the moment that I did. That discovery is the entire reason why I was sitting in a room full of high 6, 7, and 8-figure earners this past Saturday. And it's the reason why this conversation matters to me so deeply. So today I want to talk to you about proximity, about the rooms you choose to be in, and what those rooms are either costing you or compounding for you every single time you walk through the door. I'm going to share with you 3 stories, okay? One about a man who borrowed money from like 10 different friends and worked 12-hour shifts at a gym and made only 1 sale in his first 2 years. And that sale was actually to his best friend, who also had to take out a loan to make it happen. Another story I'm going to tell you about is a man who spent his first 5 years in this business with only 2 sales. 2 sales to his name. And now he's the most recognized leader in the industry worldwide. And another story about me, a 52-year-old woman who has been in this business, in businesses rather, her entire adult life, and finally got the message that 2 multimillionaires have been trying to deliver to me and my sponsors for many years. All 3 lead to the same place, the moment that proximity had changed everything. I want to take you back to September of last year, where there was a major business event happening outside of my industry, Patrick Bet-David's Vault, and I had a general admissions ticket. For anyone who doesn't know who Patrick Bet-David is, he has a podcast, PBD, and he's one of the most respected voices in entrepreneurship today. And this was a significant event to be at. But here's what happened. As the event got closer, I started looking at the VIP options. And by the time I decided I wanted to upgrade, it was too late. The VIP package was all gone, and I made the decision that even surprised me. I skipped the entire event rather than attend as a general admission. I know. At the time, I honestly wasn't sure if that was just wisdom or just my own ego that craved being fabulous. But something in me already knew that if I was going to invest my time and money and energy into being in a room, the point wasn't just to be in the room. The point was proximity to the people who were in the room. I wanted my 20 seconds with Bet-David. I wanted my picture taken with Tony Robbins. I wanted the real transfer of energy and deeper connection and deeper insight and deeper absorption. And I knew that the general admission would disappoint my expectations of what I wanted to take away from this event. So fast forward a little bit to October, I attended an event in my industry, and this time I did it right. I went VIP and I got into the same space as Fraser Brooks, who is genuinely one of the top world's social media trainers in network marketing, and honestly, a bucket list to meet him in person next to Eric Worre. And what happened in that proximity? The conversations, the energy, the things that I absorbed just by being close to someone operating at such a high level. It confirmed everything my gut was trying to tell me since September. General admission gets you in the building, but VIP gets you in the conversation. And then last Saturday happened. Now, before I tell you about what happened last Saturday, I need to tell you about a man named Colten Echave, because his story is the foundation of everything I'm about to share with you. Colten is the founder of Race to Freedom, one of the most powerful events and teams in our company, and a man who has built an organization of tens of thousands of people over the past 11 years. He hosts his own events and has changed the financial trajectory of more lives than most people will ever know. He is generally one of the top earners and moves in faith in this industry. But 11 years ago, Colten had nothing. And I mean nothing. He borrowed money from like 10 different friends just to make his first product purchase. He was working 12-hour shifts at a gym every single day as a trainer. And for the first 2 years of building his business, he made exactly one sale, just one, to his best friend, who also had to take out a loan to make it happen. So 2 years and one sale. Most people would have quit. Most people did quit around him. But Colten went to an event and got into proximity with the people who were building at a level he had never seen up close. And that changed everything. Not the information that he received, not the training, not the strategy, but the proximity, being physically in the same room with people who had already become who he was trying to become. Well, I hired Colten in that October event right after because I was in proximity in the VIP section with him, and because of something that he shared about in his presentation and the kind of person that he was. I knew he was going to tell me the hard truth. And on our very first Zoom call together, he proved me right in a way I was not entirely prepared for. He looked at my Zoom background, you guys, and he told me it was a mess. He told me my lighting was terrible. He told me I wasn't dressed for success that I said that I wanted for myself. He told me that my Instagram was all over the place and that it wasn't making sense to the people that I was actually trying to reach. Every single word he said was true. And I knew it the moment he said it. And here's what struck me the most. He coached me before I even paid him. He gave me unapologetic, hard truth feedback in sales, in a sales call, really, because that was simply who he is. He couldn't help himself. And he told me everything I needed to know about what being in proximity to Colten would mean for my business. So I hired him immediately. And I've never regretted it for a single day. Worth every penny. Now let me tell you about Balazs. This event last Saturday, and the man called Balazs W. Kardos. Balazs is one of the most respected leaders in the Enagic business globally. He leads an organization that's called GPM, Global Prosperity Movement, which I'm a part of. And this month marks 13 years that he's been building this business. 13 years. And the day before the event, he ranked 682-7, one of the highest ranks in the entire Enagic organization worldwide. And his wife ranked 682-6 the same day. I know you don't know what that means, but not to overwhelm you much, that meant a bonus of $600,000. But here is what I really want you to hear. It didn't take Balazs 13 years to get to where he is now. In fact, in his first 5 years in this business, he had exactly 2 sales, just two. Just like Colten had one, right? Just like so many people sitting in that room yesterday who were now building at levels most people can only dream about, including myself. The difference between 5 years and the years that followed was not luck. It was not talent. It was just a decision, a moment that Balazs looked at when he saw the bigger picture and understood real opportunity was in front of him. And what it would look like for many other people struggling. A moment where he decided he wanted to move to a completely different level in life and bring an army of people with him. That decision compounded for 13 years into what you see today. I have been in the same room with Balazs 5 times over the past 3 years that I've been in this. 3 times we're in person at the company conventions and with thousands of people there. And 2 times we're in team training Zooms with hundreds of people where I was able to ask a question at the end of the training, along with other people asking questions. So 5 times I've watched him. I've watched him speak. I've listened to his podcast weekly. I absorbed his wisdom, took notes, felt inspired, and never once walked up to introduce myself. All 3 times I sat in the audience and I told myself there would be another opportunity, not today. And this past Saturday, I sat in VIP section and just one diagonal table away from me, that's where he sat. And I decided that today was going to be that opportunity because September had taught me something and October had confirmed it. And I was not about to sit in VIP section with one of the most extraordinary leaders in my industry and leave without a 3-minute conversation. I waited for the right moment. And the VIP lunch session had just ended. And I walked up to him and I said his name and he turned around. He recognized me, not only from seeing me in the crowd from the stage, because I made sure that I would sit in a place that I'd be visible to all the leaders on the stage, proximity, but he recognized me from seeing me from the training Zooms 2 years ago, where I asked a question 2 years ago. He remembered my face and he remembered the difference in how I looked from then to how I look now. And he stood up and he hugged me and he told me how good it was to see me and how I looked so great. And well, you can imagine, my surprise and blushing and all that stuff. Anyway, we sat back down and in 3 minutes, he said something that Colten and my sponsors have been saying to me for months. Something that finally landed with the full weight it deserved because I was hearing it face to face from someone who has lived it for 13 years. He said, "You are your avatar. Stop marketing the way you think people want to see you and start sharing authentically as the person you already are. The people who need what you have will recognize themselves in you immediately. Take everything you have been trained on and run with it in the language of your niche." Amazing, right? 2 multimillionaires in the same message. And it took being in the right room with the right proximity for it to finally land the way that it was always meant to land. So, what does this mean for you? Whether you're a business owner, an entrepreneur, a professional who is building something, I want to ask you a very direct question. What rooms are you in right now? And are those rooms compounding your growth or are they confirming your limitations? Think about that. Because here is what I've learned and what Saturday's cemented for me, Saturday's event. There is a difference between being in the right room and being in the right room with proximity. You can attend every event, every conference, every seminar, and still leave exactly the same way you were when you walked in and sitting back in the back row. For years, I was sharing my business and my story in a way that I thought that people wanted to see me rather than sharing it as genuinely and honestly as who I actually am now. I was performing a version of success I hadn't fully achieved yet, instead of telling you the real story of where I was and where I was planning on going. And people felt that. They couldn't quite put their finger on it, but I believe that they felt it. It took two men who have each built organizations of thousands of people to finally give me the feedback that nobody else had the courage to deliver. And it took proximity, real physical, intentional proximity, for that message to land with the force that it needed. Proximity is a strategy. It is not arrogance. It is not name dropping. And it's not about impressing anyone. Proximity is about putting yourself physically close to the people whose thinking, whose standards, whose results you want to absorb, because the energy is transferable and it's in excellence. The investment in VIP is not about getting the better seat or the fancier lunch. It's about getting access. It's about being in the smaller room within the bigger room where real conversations happen, where people who are actually building things are having the kinds of conversations that don't make it into the main stage. General admission gets you inspired, but VIP gets you transformed. Staying close to your sponsors, to my sponsors, has also been an added advantage. So here's my commitment going forward, and I want to invite you all to make it with me, okay? For every event that I attend from this point forward, I'm going for VIP, not because I have the money sitting around, because I don't right now, but because I now understand that the return on proximity is exponential, and I can no longer afford to play small in the rooms that I choose to enter. Colten started with nothing and only one sale after 2 years. Balazs started with 2 sales in 5 years, and then 13 years later, he's at the top of this industry. And me, I am 52 years old, and I have built and rebuilt multiple times. I have been through loss and grief and pivots that would have stopped most people. And I have stopped and come back. And I've had more than 2 sales in my 3 years of doing this. So I'm already winning. And I'm not just now stepping fully into who I always was supposed to be in this business, because I was finally in the right room to hear the truth, and I finally got it. So if you're a business owner who has, hit a wall in your own growth, and you know in your gut that the ceiling that you keep bumping up against is the one you built yourself into, I want to have a conversation with you about what I'm building and why I believe it is one of the most intelligent moves as an entrepreneur that you can make right now. You can find me on Instagram at Tal Kapoor Official, or just simply send me a DM with the word proximity. And let's talk about what's right for you. What do those rooms look like for you? So thank you for spending this time with me today on Talks with Tal. I will see you next week. And until then, get in the room and get in the right room. And when you get there, move to the front. No more sitting in the back. Okay? So until next time, walk good and take care. Bye. Okay, wow. Thank you so much for spending the time with me on Talks with Tal. If this conversation resonated with you, I would love for you to subscribe. And if you're curious about learning more about starting your own high-ticket affiliate marketing business, you can send me a message with the word conversation. So take care. Bye for now. Mwah.